Where did you grow up?
Springfield, Missouri.
How many siblings do you have?
I have a younger brother, Doug, and a younger sister, Julie.
What was your father's profession?
My father worked his way up through a trucking company and ended up managing it in his later years.
What was life in Springfield like?
It's Mark Twain country, it's Jesse James country, a lot of hills, a lot of lakes. I got my first BB gun preschool. I got my first 12 gauge in kindergarten or first grade. I was shooting shit up a year later.
Really?
Yeah.
Where were you born?
London, Bromley Hospital. The hospital I was born in has been knocked down. My parents, mother from Jamaica, my father from Trinidad. We do have West African blood, Nigerian blood in our heritage as well. So I've been told. I was brought up by white parents, fostered out to them at 12 days of age. They treated me as their own. I was their firstborn, their eldest, and they had two other children, and my other biological brother came to the same family.
Where were you born?
I was born in Lenox Hill Hospital here in New York City.
What is your father's name?
Karsten Johansson.
Where was he born?
He was born in Copenhagen.
What is your mother's name?
Melanie Sloan.
Where was she born?
My mother was born in the Bronx.
We know that you are of Danish lineage on your father's side. What did your maternal side contribute?
My mother is Ashkenazi Jew.
What were your interests as a kid?
Well, sports, girls, shooting things.
In that order?
Not quite.
What about movies? Were they an important part of your life?
Movies were a big important part of the life.
Was Planet of the Apes part
Planet
of
of the Apes was a big one for me, yeah. I would
Big.
go, we have this, we had the Ape-a-thon every summer, and they would play all 5 movies straight, and my mom, maybe she just wanted a day off, but she would drop me off in the morning and pick me up at 9 that night.
Saturday Night Fever?
Saturday Night Fever is a big one for me because it was the first R-rated movie that I snuck into, and it's still one of my all-time favorites. But not just because I'm a profound dancer.
What was your first school?
The school I went to was somewhere called Oak Park Secondary School. It's since been knocked down.
And what was that school like?
When you have a fire practice, 1,000 of us run outside and stand where we're supposed to stand. The ironic thing was one day we had a fire and nobody knew what the hell they were doing, and nobody got killed, thank God, but it was pandemonium on the actual day.
Were you a good student?
I was always good as a sprinter.
Didn't you win an athletic award at one point?
Won a few trophies for the 100-meter sprint. I was at 12.8 seconds by the time I was 14, 15 for the 100-meter sprint, so, eventually almost ran for my county as well, so that was my thing. It was a way of getting rid of my energy, and it was also a way of meeting girls.
For reasons that are unscientific and anecdotal, a great many of our guests over the past 23 years have grown up with parents of differing faiths. The majority of them have been one Christian and one Jewish parent. Was that the case with you?
My father is fanatically atheist. My mother is sort of, I guess, agnostic or spiritual or whatever, but was raised in somewhat cultural Jewish household in a way.
Was either faith dominant in your home?
I'd say the Jewish side of my family was more, it was more colorful, it was more present, and that was probably also because I had a very close relationship with my grandmother, who, again, was an atheist, but she was very connected to, her people in a cultural way.
I've read that your grandmother had a favorite song that she would sing at family gatherings. What was it?
It was Summertime from Porgy and Bess. That song has a dear place in my heart.
Saturday Night Fever, it was seeing another culture that was so much different than mine. It was seeing the way they would talk to each other at the table and get into these arguments he messes my hair. I work very hard on my hair, and he messes my hair, and this kind of stuff. And I just, and the language, and it was another culture for me. It was a foreign land to me.
What were your academic interests in high school?
I really liked math. I liked math and science the most.
How did you do academically?
I did just well enough.
Just well enough?
Yeah.
What college did you attend?
University of Missouri, Mizzou. They had a really good J school, journalism school, and I'd visited all the campuses and some road trips, and I think that's the one I had the most fun at.
But with the school I went to, if you got into drama, they thought you'd have to be a sissy boy, and so, you'd often walk around downgrading yourself and talking like that half the time, just to sort of get by. But, no, drama was always up there in the back of my mind, but I put myself forward with athletics. That was the one thing I aspired to and was acceptable to the masses that were around me at the time.
What deflected you?
I mean, I got into acting in reality via the ability I'd picked up as a young actor at school from the occasional play. My mum said to me, "You're a natural," and I thought, well, I don't want to do that. You get beaten up every day until you get into drama school. But then I turned up at nightclubs about 4 or 5 years later, and I'd walk in and I was able to just look at people, and they give me this weird look, and I think, hello, there's something going on there. And I thought, but I already know how to act. And I've got this thing going on, so if I put the two together, aha! Something might come forward, and it did, so...
We are tonight on the brink of summer. Do you think our students could hear just, say, 4 bars of your summer?
I can't. I'm so nervous. Summertime and living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mommy's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
Thank you.
When and why did you leave college?
It was 2 weeks before graduation, and I realized I saw all my friends who were signed up for jobs, and I realized I hadn't. And I'd always lamented that acting was not the career choice where I grew up. And it finally occurred to me that I could just load up my car and go to it. And so I'm still like a couple of credits short of graduating.
Who is Runaround Sue?
That was my beat-up piece of shit Datsun that I drove out.
How much money did you have in your pocket when you arrived?
I left with $325. I probably landed with about $225, and I stopped at a McDonald's, and I saw this newspaper. When I got to Burbank, I was staying in Burbank, and it said extra work. You could be an extra, and you had to pay $25, and they take your picture and they send you out.
Did you get some extra work?
Yeah, by that Friday.
I got into it purely by accident, actually, eventually, because I was working as a bought leisure clerk, and I decided that job itself, there had to be more to life than this humdrum job. It just had to be. So I decided there and then to take evening classes. I didn't tell anybody about it. I thought, well, I wanted to get in a drama school. I told a tutor about it, and she said, we'll get you in. And it went from there, really. And it wasn't until I actually got into drama school that I told Mum and Dad. Otherwise, they'd laugh me out of town and said, even though you're good, you're not Roger Moore's son, and I'm a sheet metal worker and your mother's a cleaner. How do you propose to do this? So I kept it to myself until it was achieved. The Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art. It was interesting being around other young actors who had a similar energy to yourself. You'd always be able to pick up tips. You'd watch them. You'd been around real people all your life, but you'd never been around a number of artists and actors who had a similar mentality to yourself.
Were movies and television an important part of your early life?
Yes. My mother's total cinephile, so we watched a lot of movies and some TV growing up. I really used to love trashy talk shows. I was a big fan of Jerry Springer. I watched a lot of Nick at Night, so I watched a lot of I Love Lucy. I mean, tons of it.
Right.
I Love Lucy and all Mary Tyler Moore Show, and I loved Taxi and Rhoda and all those shows. I loved them growing up. So television actually was important to me. It's funny, I don't think about it that way. I was too stuck on Jerry Springer, but...
One of the questions I've asked every guest for the past 23 years is, how did the first creative spark ignite in you? When did you begin acting?
I performed a lot when I was really little. I mean, even 3 years old, I was kind of like a ham. I just really loved entertaining my family and whoever else was around.
Since 1994, we've heard some vivid accounts of the aptly named odd jobs that young actors and some of our students do. Did you have some as you began life in L.A.?
I had a lot of... I mean, it's what you do, right? It's what you do.
What did you do, for example?
The famous one, I had to dress up like a chicken for El Pollo Loco and say, you know, burritos, 99 cents. And then I drove strippers, which was an interesting...
Now, this is the Actors Studio Drama School at Pace University. We're very interested here in...
strippers?
In the craft of our guests. Obviously, you've struck a nerve. What do you mean you drove strippers?
You would have to go to the girl's apartment, pick her up, and then you would have to drive her to the party. You would then be responsible for playing the music, which was cassette then, and then you had to catch the clothes so the guys didn't steal them as they came off, and then you had to try to collect the money at the end and get out of there alive, and it was not always easy.
The Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art, they all had these individual niches that you didn't have, which you could grab hold of and enhance upon. So you get them on a stage together and this whole thing happened. And when you saw them rehearse, you were learning constantly via watching them. And that's the most scintillating thing I picked up from being at drama school. I can honestly say that is it, that's the one. I found that intriguing more than anything else. Back in the day when I left, you had to get an equity card to be taken seriously as an actor. I was offered such a thing with the Royal Lyceum in Edinburgh, a 1,000-seater theatre, in the role of Israel Hands, and direction of Ian Baldridge, who was the artistic director of the Royal Lyceum Edinburgh. And, when I got to the audition, I said, "What is it you require?" He said, "We like people with a lot of energy." And I thought, aha! I may have nailed this, so I got a tip before I went into the audition room and just gave them what they asked for, thank God. But, yeah, that was my first job.
You've recalled, someone said that we were like the cute little Johansson family, and my mom should take us to a commercial agency. Did your mother follow up on the suggestion?
She did. We all went on this, you know, audition or whatever, this casting, and the only person they wanted was my older brother, Adrian, which I guess nobody else cared about. I was totally devastated. I remember standing outside of the hot and crusty bakery, and remember my mom saying, "Wait, this is a lot of work, you know, is this something you really want to do?" And I did. I wanted to do it. I wanted to try it. So I had some headshots made and a little resume that said, you know, skills, you know, I don't know, can semi-ice skate, whatever, loves to sing or whatever. And I signed with the management company and I started auditioning.
Drove strippers.
Did you enjoy that work?
Yes, I did. I'll tell you something, I found my acting coach from it, too.
See, I knew where I was going. These are students, after all. This is what we want to know. How did you find your acting coach? Through the strippers.
There was a new girl there, and she told me about this class she started taking. It turned out to be Roy London, who was a beautiful human being. And
Roy
set me
London
off
was a major force in Los Angeles. We've talked about him with Sharon Stone and with Gina Davis.
Yep, that's right.
What did you get from him?
It was the first entry into craft, into making it your own, into investing in your own experiences and seeing what you can bring to the table. And it was that first thing that started pointing me in the direction I wanted to go.
In my opinion, not since Tom Cruise skidded into view in his underwear, framed in a doorway in Risky Business, has there been as auspicious a film entrance as one in which J.D. describes his larcenous skills in Thelma and Louise. How did that role come to you?
With difficulty. It was actually cast 2 times before. It came up a 3rd time, and it was a week before they were starting to shoot, and they were desperate. And I stuck my way in.
I followed that on by the Nottingham Playhouse Theatre. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, playing Abe Williams. That was a knock-knock job. As one job ended, another one started. In other words, without a space in between. After that, the Manchester Contact Theatre. So I did a hell of a lot of rep when I came out of drama school. It was good for the vocals, darling, you know, and the vocal projection and all that sort of stuff, you know. I've been at this game for a long time now, so it's 30 years later. So, I mean, in terms of that, when I first came out of drama school, it's a good almost 3 decades. So now, I mean, I've got my own film company, and I audition for adverts and commercials and the occasional stage play, but things don't really change unless you change it. So I decided I'd start writing. And lo and behold, thank God, I've got a gift in that department to add to my acting ability. So things are going quite well.
I got a sudden phone call, like the call of a lifetime. You know, hey, Woody, another actor had dropped out of Match Point for, I don't know, some conflict, and either it was personal or scheduling or whatever. And Woody would like to have the script delivered to you tonight. You have to read it and decide if you want to make this film, because they're shooting it in London in, whatever, 4 weeks or something. What? You know, I mean, it was... This is the moment. This is my Woody Allen moment. You're the one I waited for. It just came like that. I mean, how is it even possible? I think I was about 19 at the time, and script came, manila envelope. Person waited outside my room. I read it, and it had a letter from Woody, and it said something like, "Oh, you know, really admired your work," and then at the end of it, it said something like, "If you respond to the material, great. If not, you know, we'll find something else at some point." And I was like, what? I'm not gonna, I mean, I didn't even, you know, I probably thumbed through it. Yes, you know, I'll take it. 4 weeks later, I was suddenly in London, and there he was. It was Woody Allen.
Here's an example of what Woody and Scarlett created together in Match Point.
And she wants to marry you.
I don't think her mother would approve of that either.
No, it's different. I don't buy into Eleanor, and she knows it, but you are being groomed. You mark my words. They almost died when they thought that Chloe had run off with some guy that ran a gastro pub in the city. But, you're gonna do very well for yourself, unless you blow it.
And how am I going to blow it?
By making a pass at me.
What makes you think that's going to happen?
Men always seem to wonder. They think I'd be something very special.
And are you?
Well, no one's ever asked for their money back.
You have only a few scenes in the film. One of them was a steamy love scene. Was it easy for you? You're laughing. Was it funny?
I've stayed away from him since. It's really discombobulating.
How so?
Well, I was young and virile. Gina's Gina.
On 3 occasions, we've talked about a fascinating movie called Seven. What drew you to this project?
I read the first 3 pages of the script and I went, and I tossed it. And it was about an old cop who wants out and the new cop wants in, and I just said, I've seen this story. And a dear friend of mine who's sitting right over here, Cynthia, who I've worked with for so many years, said, no, just read it. Just read it, read it, read it. And I did. And I said, so I met with Fincher. And it was really sitting down with my now dear friend, David Fincher. And I remember this moment. We just were talking the same language, the same love of films, the same irritations with film, and just speaking the same language.
Tell us about working with Morgan Freeman.
He's got this amazing ability to actually take a power nap between takes. They're adjusting the light, and he'll go. Morgan, put the gun down, David. And it's flawless. Flawless.
I'm on the verge of, I've just done a movie called White Glove Massive out online.
For some stupidness.
You're joking.
But he has been talking about doing LSD and taking ecstasy and shit.
You shouldn't mess with them things, Dredd. You should come to my workplace, see for yourself what damage them drugs can do to people.
What, at the Avenger Project?
Nah, me no work there no more. He's a qualified psychiatric nurse now.
Really?
I have an interesting job and work with the most amazing individuals.
What, in a nut house?
Nah, let me tell you, some of them people not as crazy as them seem. Some even more intelligent than you think. Some even too intelligent for their own good. Let me tell you about this one patient called Benjamin. Benjamin was a quiet soul and does keep himself to himself most of the time. But as him get to know me, he gradually open up and tell me how him end up in a hospital.
Don't get on it. Shouldn't be here. Shouldn't be here.
What's the matter, Benjamin?
No one's listening to me. No one. No one's listening to me.
Benjamin,
No one's
what exactly is it you'd like to tell me?
They keep poisoning me. Poisoning me. Making me sick.
Who? Who kept poisoning you?
My family. My own family.
But why?
I shouldn't be here. I want my job back. I want my job back.
Behave yourself! Not funny! What job? What were you working as?
Stocks and shares. Stocks and shares. I said I was brilliant. I won an award. Employee of the year. I was earning thousands and thousands. Oh, they keep poisoning me. My head. My head. Make it stop. My God. I want my job back. I want my job back. I want my job back.
Don't upset yourself. Everything happens for a reason. Time is a great healer. So just give yourself that time to heal.
Okay.
We don't want you or anyone else getting upset over these matters in future. Okay?
That's some deep shit, man.
You should come down and meet him one day. He's a lovely bloke. It's a sad, sad story.
Sounds legit as well. You mean that? Why would anyone make that shit up for no reason?
Exactly! Everyone else thinking just a schizo, so it's like the perfect crime. Getting away with mashing up your own brother's mind.
The things people do to each other nowadays just to gain money.
Money is the root of all evil, Dredd. The root of all evil.
Here are the students, and so let us begin the classroom session.
Good evening. My name is Tatiana. I'm a rising third-year actor. I had a question about an aspect of your work on Under the Skin. I understand that you had some reservations about the nudity required for the role, and I just wanted to ask you as a woman, how you navigate when you decide to accept roles that require nudity.
I think in Under the Skin, the nudity was so important to the character's awakening, that it didn't, and also working with Jonathan Glazer, and he obviously was very respectful, but we both agreed that it was an important part of telling that character's story. What was interesting about it was, when you're standing naked in front of a mirror, you start to realize, gosh, I'm so self-conscious about all these things, right? When we think about it. But then in this character, obviously, I had to play a character that had no consciousness of, she has no preconceived idea of her body or judgment or anything, really, right? She's another species. So she's just looking at this body like, wow, look at all these parts, you know what I mean? Look at my cuticles, look at my eyelashes, all this stuff. And I have what are all these toes? What are all these, all these parts that make up this human body it was so interesting that was the first, and actually really, I feel so thankful that was the first time that I ever had to do something where I was nude like that, because it gave me a completely different perspective than had it been, some salacious thing. Or I think in the end, you have to respect yourself and your own thoughts about it, and if it's something that I felt moved the characters, it was okay for me. Is it my favorite thing to do? No, but it was an interesting experiment. You know where your boundaries are, I think. You know what the good kind of uncomfortable is, and the not good, and the bad uncomfortable. So I think you just have to go with your gut on that.
2008 saw the arrival of a curious and fascinating movie called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It would receive 13 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Brad. You must have had a crystal ball when you chose this one. What prompted you to undertake the role of a man who ages backwards from dotage to infancy?
I've been familiar with this thing for 12 years. It had been floating around. I just wasn't going to miss out on it. We were going to spend time in New Orleans, which I, of course, have a love for. It was just a great experience.
With this film, a subject we seldom have reason to explore on our stage comes up, and that, of course, is makeup. What did the old age makeup involve, and how long did it take to apply it?
It started out 6 hours, and then they got it down to 5. I mean, counting the wig and everything.
I'm sure it wasn't shot in sequence, so I would dare say that from day to day you would have to age or be young, or...
Yeah, there was, of course, some bouncing around due to locations and things. I'm open to that. I like the roll of the dice. What's the hand we're going to get as far as sequencing of when you shoot things. I find that exhilarating as well.
That brings us to a daring film that won the Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or and an Oscar nomination. It's called The Tree of Life. What drew you to this movie?
Terry and I had been...
Terry being?
Terry Malick. It was a thing that he was working on when he took his hiatus, some 28 years ago. And it's gone through many incarnations, and he said he was ready to do it and asked us to produce it. And I said, of course, absolutely.
This is only his 5th film since Badlands in 1973. Tell us about working with him on the set.
Well, Terry's a lovely, lovely man. He's so wonderful to talk to. That's good, Brad. That's good. He's the guy standing there with the butterfly net, and he's waiting till something comes by, happens, and he grabs it when it happens.
And I'm hoping that my own film, Sworn to Lie, which is 2 hours long, we get that funded. And right now, we're in the process of actually, they're very interested in it, so, and I've got a sizable part in that once we get it funded as well. I've got a couple of other actors I'm talking to, but they said, come back when you've got the money, darling, please. And that's it. That's what they all say.
Hello, Ms. Johansson. I'm Maria Cristina Pimiento. I just graduated from the program. I want to thank you for being so real, so truthful, and aware.
Thank you.
My question is, what is your definition for success?
Definition of success means so many different things to different people. For me, I feel like I've had success when I've done my best job at that very particular given moment doesn't necessarily mean that I won't wake up when the night demons come at 2 a.m. and go, oh, damn it, I should have tried that other reading. God, I mean, that always happens. But I think when I feel, okay, this is all I have to give. I gave it all. I thought of all the things I could think of right now. I think I'm good. Okay. Doesn't always mean that it ends up so successful, but personally it feels like, okay, I'm happy with that, you know? If I was brave and I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and I maybe went in a couple of different directions that felt something out, I carved something out, I just made a discovery, I feel, okay, that was a successful moment. I do it moment to moment, you know? And I think that part of having success is taking risks. Right? There's that whole risk-reward thing, but you just don't know. You're always going to lose something, right? When you gain something, you lose something, for better or worse. I've never found that I've ever had great success with things I didn't take a risk on.
Brad, what is your favorite word?
Daddy.
What is your least favorite word?
I pooped.
What turns you on?
Exploration, discovery.
What turns you off?
When someone unequivocally tells me it can't be done.
What sound or noise do you love?
My baby sleeping at night, the breathing. It's... When you're a parent, you will understand.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I have this friend for 23 years, and we probably talk almost every day on the phone, and she does this. And it drives me mental.
You don't like that sound?
I don't like it. I love her.
What is your favorite curse word?
I mean, it's underused. It has great power. And I think we can do for it what the Brits did for so. Think about it.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Architecture.
What profession would you absolutely not like to do?
Right now, a politician running for an office.
Finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I'm thinking about redoing the place. Got any ideas?
What's your favorite word?
Aqua. Aqua.
What is your least favorite word?
Well, it's the word. There is a word I don't like people using, and it begins with a C and it ends with a. But I can't really say the word without offending half the audience.
What turns you on?
Well, like same as most men who get hurt.
What excites you?
A shapely woman.
What turns you off?
I've got a few pet peeves I could mention. People riding push bikes on the pavement. It's an accident waiting to happen. It's only a matter of time before somebody gets maimed in this country by people doing such things. Rudeness. I loathe rudeness under all circumstances. Can't stand it.
What sound or noise do you love?
Love the sound of the ocean when it ripples up against the shore, like Cornwall or something like that, where you get the.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Can't stand people kissing their teeth. Makes the hairs on the back of my head stand up. Loathe it.
What's your favorite curse word?
Well, I have a whole number of them. My swear box is bursting at the seams, for goodness sake. I think it's the same as everybody else, to be honest. It's the F word, if I lose it, sort of thing, and that's one of my, yeah, I'll go with that.
What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
Something which was doing other human beings good.
And I will ask you, please, Scarlett, what is your favorite word?
Yummy.
What is your least favorite word?
Panties.
What turns you on?
Curiosity.
What turns you off?
Entitlement.
What sound or noise do you love?
My daughter laughing.
What sound or noise do you hate?
A jackhammer.
What is your favorite curse word? What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I probably would have liked to have been a counselor of some kind or therapist of some kind.
What profession would you absolutely not like to undertake, ever?
An exterminator.
Finally, Scarlett, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
It's going to be okay.